How many vaulted ceilings can you find in this Boston library? This building from 1895 is one of the last great buildings of its kind. At that time, most major buildings were starting to use steel for its stretching and loading strength. In the era of transition to towering skyscrapers and bridges, this unique McKim Building rose at the turn of the 20th century and became a National Historic Landmark ever since. It was designed by looking back to old Europe for inspirations, which can be found in multiple areas throughout this building. The weeping rows of vaults at the lobby were decorated with vine patterns. The self-supporting arches and vaults were designed by a Spanish expert called Guastavino, who moved to New York in 1881. This traditional Mediterranean technique has a long history, and Guastavino modernized this technique by optimizing its affordability, lightweight, strength, and especially its fire resistance. Quite an innovative breakthrough at that time. Hello, my friends. This is Kathy, the library hunter. Following my previous visit to the modern side of the library, also known as the Johnson Building, today let's travel back in time. Let's explore the historic McKim Building of Boston Central Library. Don't forget to subscribe now, and let's get started. Built between 1888 and 1895, the McKim Building of Boston Central Library stands as the crowning achievement of its architect, Charles Follen McKim, from the renowned firm McKim, Mead and White. Collaborating with the trustees of Boston Public Library, McKim partnered with the talents of 19th century's finest craftspeople, painters, and sculptors. Ever since its opening, this library building has inspired and elevated millions of visitors. We can notice there are 3 sculptural seals representing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the library, and the city of Boston. Below these are the head of the goddess of wisdom, alongside the library's motto, "Free to all." The McKim lobby has a beautiful Georgia marble floor with brass designs. It has 3 aisles with high vaulted ceilings. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the vaults were designed by Spanish builder Rafael Guastavino. The library was his first big project in America, and it helped him expand his career in this country. A special part of the staircase is the pair of lions. They honor 2 Massachusetts volunteer infantries from the Civil War, the 2nd and the 20th. Survivors of these regiments paid for the sculptures by Louis St. Gaudens. The French painter was a renowned muralist in the 19th century. He painted the library panels in Paris and sent them to Boston for installation in 1895. The main staircase is surrounded by 8 panels representing different disciplines. The Central Library's main reading room is named after Joshua Bates, the first major benefactor of the library. Bates, who grew up without a public library, deeply understood the importance of libraries. When the library was founded in 1852, he offered to fund the purchase of books for it, with the conditions that the new library be an ornament to the city, have space for at least 150 patrons, and be free to all. Bates Hall runs the length of the McKim Building along Dartmouth Street. It features an impressive 50-foot-high barrel vault ceiling. The hall's English oak bookcases and tables have been in use almost every day since the building opened in 1895. The centerpiece of the room is the large picture of George Washington hanging over the desk in the room. This painting depicted a dramatic scene of General George Washington commanding his troops to occupy the hills of Dorchester Heights on the south side of Boston. This action by Washington and the Continental Army in 1776 proved instrumental in driving British forces out of the city, ending the nearly year-long siege of Boston. This book is a book-length argument that Boston City Hall and other much unloved monumental concrete buildings erected here in the 1960s and 70s are unfairly maligned. In this Washington room, research services staff can assist you with finding collections for your use, including newspapers and magazines on microfilm and government documents. Have you used a microfilm before? I have to admit, this was my first hands-on experience using a microfilm reader. That was really cool. This Abbey Room used to be the book delivery room. When library patrons requested a book at the desk in Bates Hall, they would then wait in this room for the book to be delivered. Edwin Austin Abbey, known for his illustrations in Harper's Magazine, actually had little experience with oil painting or murals before accepting the library commission in 1893. Despite this, he successfully completed the 15 panels, illustrating Sir Galahad's quest of the Holy Grail, blending different versions of the legend. On the third floor of the McKim Building, artist John Singer Sargent spent 29 years decorating this skylit hall from 1890 to 1919. His theme, Triumph of Religion, includes elements from early Egyptian and Assyrian beliefs, Judaism, and Christianity. Now, you might wonder why the central panel is blank. John never finished the central panel illustrating the Sermon on the Mount before his death in 1925. That's why it remains blank. Sargent painted the murals in England and brought them to Boston for installation in 4 phases. After the 1919 installation of the images of synagogue and church on the east wall, a controversy arose over the depiction of synagogue, causing quite a public storm. The Central Library's courtyard was remodeled after the Palazzo della Cancelleria in Rome. It features a covered arcade surrounding an open plaza with white marble and low greenery, centered around a pool and fountain. The courtyard's centerpiece is the bronze statue of Bacchante and infant fawn, gifted by McKim. When unveiled in 1896, the statue caused controversy in Boston due to its perceived celebration of drinking and debauchery. Outraged Bostonians demanded its removal, so McKim transferred it to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York in 1897. It was nearly a century later that Boston commissioned a cast of the statue from the Boston Museum of Fine Arts copy, restoring Bacchante to her original location as part of the McKim Building's 1990s restoration project. Now it's the best time to walk to the other side of the courtyard and check out the Johnson Building. I have a separate video about the story of Johnson Building Library. Feel free to check it out and let me know which side is your favorite. Your comments and feedback are always the best motivation for me to continue producing high-quality videos. Really appreciate your support.
The other building that was here was another church. It's on this other corner of Boylston and Dartmouth. It's an Old South Church. This was an Italian or Venetian Gothic built in pudding stone. Does anybody know that pudding stone is the Massachusetts state stone? It is. So it's this muddy looking variegated pudding stone. So that